brain drain, which has characterized Canadian society since the Second World War, continues in a variety of fields, particularly medicine. Most people are aware that the United States hospitals are now campaigning to spirit away Canadian doctors, but a more recent and highly sophisticated campaign has been launched to attract other medical experts as well. The biggest campaign and the most recent was the Nurses' Job Fair, which came to Toronto at the end of last week. On that assignment for CJRT was David Turnbull.
Newspaper stories about nursing in Canada and the U.S. began to look very similar about 5 years ago. A story out of Halifax made front-page news across the nation. It said a 26-bed maternity unit at Halifax Infirmary would shut down and another 75 beds would follow suit. The hospital administrator said there was a critical nursing shortage in the city. In the U.S., stories of more and more states having a nursing shortage were fast becoming back-page rather than front-page news. There are now shortages in 36 states. In fact, the U.S. has 3,000 jobs available for nurses right now. There are about 1.1 million working nurses in the United States. By 1985, they will require 2 million. Canada's newspapers still carry stories about nursing, but few make it to page 1. However, unlike our neighbors, they talk about a surplus of nurses. The only province that has a shortage is Newfoundland and Labrador. Richard DeVito organized the job fair, and he'll likely organize many more.
In the States, we've had a shortage in the warmer climates for the last 5 or 6 years, and frankly, we don't see it abating any in the near future.
He's already planning a second job fair for Toronto next winter. For the nursing recruiters, it's a full-time job.
It's kind of like the military. We have a shortage of nurses in the United States, and so now we have full-time recruiters.
You're a nurse?
I am not a nurse. I'm a PR person.
Public relations for the hospital.
Right. And in some sense for the state of Mississippi, because when you come this far away, you're not only selling the facilities of your institution, but you're also selling your part of the country and what it has to offer.
That was Marty Smith of University Hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. Why the shortage? There are a variety of reasons. Some nurses have objected to the lack of prestige associated with the job. They say that many times their jobs involve menial tasks that could be done by nurses' aides and orderlies. Many young nurses leave the profession after they marry and choose to raise a family. Others prefer jobs in industry where hours are 9 to 5. Others have taken the part-time route to work in doctors' offices, and still others prefer private duty nursing, which gives them a chance to vacation in between jobs. About 2,000 attended the Toronto Fair, which ended on Saturday. About half were nursing students, and almost half were employed nurses checking out jobs in a warmer climate. And there were some nurses who graduated last year and still haven't found work. Perhaps Ontario is graduating just too many nurses.
Canada cannot offer me a job right now. And if they couldn't offer me the job, what are they doing giving me the opportunity to go to school? Like, we have 100 students in second year where I go to school, which is in Barrie. That's only one college. And if there are no jobs in Ontario, why do they have such a high enrollment?
Do you think they should cut it down a bit?
Definitely. I think they should cut it down. If there are no jobs available here, I think they should cut down the enrollment. I think they should make it harder for you to get in also.
Art Bates, the placement officer at Fanshawe College in London, doesn't exactly agree.
No, we're not turning out too many nursing grads. We're turning out more than is needed for the market in Ontario. But I feel that if there are people who want to become nurses, the education has to be there for them.
Are you, have you cut down on the number of nurses you take in now?
Yeah, we cut enrollment by 30% in the past 2 years. We're down considerably. And things have improved in Ontario. 2 years ago, 65% of our graduates had to go to the U.S. for their first job. Last year, we're down to a little less than 50%.
The fear of graduating and not getting a job hasn't stopped students from entering a nursing program. Gail Donner, chairman of Ryerson's nursing department, explains.
Well, in the past couple of years, we've had about 4 applicants for between 3 and 4 for every one person that we've accepted.
And how many first-year students are there?
Well, we took in this year just over 150. We aim for someplace between 150 and 160 first-year students.
How long is the course?
It's a 2-year program.
How many make it into second year?
About 125, between 125 and 130.
What happens to the rest? Do they fail or drop out?
Well, it's a mix. Some people leave because they didn't know this was nursing and they don't like it. Some people weren't sure when they come in and they like Ryerson and they, in the course of their studies, find something else that they think they're better suited for. And then, of course, some fail. But I think it's probably pretty well half and half.
How many graduate?
Well, out of 160, probably 100 and, if we have 125 beginning second year, probably between 150, around 115 will graduate.
How many get jobs in nursing?
Well, it's hard for us to know. We don't have a really rigid way of following up on students. Anything we know indicates that most of the graduates do get jobs in nursing. Some go on to school. Some take some time off and then go back and go on to school. But I don't really have a hard number that I could give you.
Do the students coming in nowadays actually understand the picture that there is a shortage of jobs for nurses in this province? Or do they come in thinking that they're going to have 2 or 3 job offers?
I think most of the students that we get are pretty realistic about what the situation is. In the past year particularly, or the past couple of years, we've been attracting a more mature group of students, and so we have people who have done other things first, either taken a BA or a BSc at the university, or they've been out in the workforce, and they've made a conscious decision to take nursing at this time, and even though they're well aware of the touchy situation with jobs, they seem to think that they'll be the ones to get the job, and they're willing to take the risk, I guess.
But not every student realized just how great that risk would be.
At the time, I knew they were hard to come by, but I hadn't expected that they would be this hard. Like in the bigger cities, there's just none available at all. None.
During your nursing program, did you ever get depressed and start to think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have a job when I finish?
Yeah, I think I do that, let me see, once a week. Maybe more some days. Yeah. At times you feel very depressed when you think, I'm doing all this and you're going to have to leave your family and maybe go down, into the States. But then in a way, too, there's a lot of excitement in traveling and going, somewhere else rather than remaining with the family and everything else. So.
How old are you?
29.
So obviously you've been away before.
Yes, yeah. Well, I have, yes. And I started nursing late, just 2 years ago. But I think it's a rewarding career, and I don't really mind moving.
What made you switch careers and take up nursing?
Because when I was young, I always wanted to be a nurse. But in those days, they always said to you, you couldn't be a nurse because you didn't have your sciences or something, and you should stay with business and commerce type thing. And being a mature student, you can go back to nursing school. There's no reason you can't, as long as you pass the college entrance exams.
And what made you choose nursing in the first place?
I like being with people. I like helping people, and I like caring people.
What kind of jobs were you in before taking up nursing?
With people, dispensing optician.
So, you think you'll go down to the States now?
It's still iffy and buddy for me, but I'm pretty sure I will.
Do you feel guilty about using Ontario tax dollars for your education and then taking your skills south of the border?
No, because eventually I plan on coming back to Canada.
Well, I don't think we're going to be benefiting from your money. You may very well benefit by substantially more, in a more substantial manner. Many of the students and experienced nurses cannot find jobs in the Ontario area. Rather than have them work in non-nursing positions, it would be far better for them to come to the States and work a year or two, and if they come back as a well-trained nurse.
We are also sending a new graduate to the United States who's going to come back an experienced graduate and probably a much more productive graduate, and we won't have had the headache in our system of providing her with that kind of experience. So while it's true I may have an obligation to answer that question, I don't find the question reflects the whole picture at all. For many years when we did not have people with appropriate talents, we didn't mind taking people from other countries, and we certainly did, and send some of those and help those people get some experience and then perhaps send them back to their countries. I myself went to the United States to get an education at a time where I thought I could get some kinds of skills that weren't readily available in Canada. And the United States government helped me a great deal in getting that education. And they knew I was going back to Canada, and I did come back to Canada. And I suppose they could argue I didn't deliver the goods. My own interest is in providing quality patient care, and I'm not sure chauvinism is always the best way to achieve that end.
How have you had any feedback from the students who are attending the nursing fair? Have any of them gotten jobs?
I've seen a couple. Most of them, from my observations, are going with the view to looking around and seeing the kinds of places that are looking for nurses, what the opportunities are, and certainly, although we would very much like to see our graduates remain in Canada, I must say that, and I would like even more to see them remain in Ontario. When they say that no, they're interested in going to the United States, what we try to do is help them make a sensible decision about where to go, so that I'd like to see them go to a place where there are perhaps educational opportunities, where there may be tuition reimbursement if they want to go on and get a degree. Some of those opportunities are available, where there's part-time study, where there are good learning opportunities for them as they work, so that when they come back to Canada, as we all know most of them will do, they come back having also had a good learning experience, and also having perhaps gained some kinds of skills and experience that at this point in time they maybe can't get here.
There are about 65 booths here representing all different hospitals. How can a person looking for a job possibly decide on which one of the 65 is right for them?
The nurses vary. You know, some of them are looking for a certain type specialty in a hospital. Some of them are looking for a certain type of city. Some of them are looking for a certain type of climate. And it just varies with the nurse, you know, what her interests are in nursing, what type city she's looking for, if she's single or married, or if he's single or married, you know, he may like a different type of environment. It just varies with the nurse. I mean, with the options available, they can find just about what they want in a city or in a hospital.
A report on the nurses' job fair with David Turnbull. Hitler's deputy, Rudolf Hess, who will be 85 in April, has been admitted.